Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about the history from English origins to the United States of policing in America. And this lecture should last 30 to 35 minutes. So let's get to it. So we're going to talk about the following things today via this introduction to the history of policing in America. We're going to talk about the origins of Western policing, policing in the United Kingdom and England, early American policing models. We're going to talk about policing in the 19th and 20th century by way of eras of policing in the United States. And those are the political era, the reform era, and the community era. And we're also going to talk about those early American police officials and government officials who had contributions to early American policing models. And then we're also going to talk about what social changes shaped American policing along the way, and how do these legacies relate to today's system of policing in America. So some of the early faces of English and colonial officers uh, of the law were the sheriff, the constable, and the coroner, and the justice of the peace. We have law enforcement officials across the United States that are sheriffs, and this comes from the term sheriff, which is an English version of today's sheriff, and they were the enforcement arm for the king, and they maintained law and order in the tidings. They also collected taxes. If you have watched any of the Robin Hood movies, you had the Sheriff of Nottingham, the Sheriff of Nottingham, who was, basically collecting taxes and doing the king's bidding for him in the rural territories outside of the main population of the king's gatherings or castles, or so to speak. And the basic source in today's environment, the sheriff is the basic source of rural crime control in the United States. And at the turn of the 19th century, we saw an increase in popularity and political clout with the expansion westward by population of westward from the East Coast to the West Coast across the United States. And the sheriff here maintained posses which helped them control territories, and these posses were part of the sheriff's office or the sheriff's department in terms of their earlier versions. Here are a couple of pictures of one very famous sheriff, rather two pictures of one very famous sheriff. This is Joe Arpaia, who was the sheriff in Maricopa County, Arizona. He's kind of a notorious sheriff by way of his practices, and he really was a very kind of innovative sheriff at this particular time in saving taxpayers' money by refusing to build prisons, brick and mortar prisons, and using tent cities to house inmates in low security environments rather than building brick and mortar prisons.